going forward?
That's a good question. I mean, look, what we heard Brennan say very, very clearly, to Ned's point, is to foot stomp the idea that there's a distinction between the investigation and intelligence. I mean, it's unbelievable we have to go through this again, but nonetheless, look, intelligence looks over the horizon. As Brennan said, the job of intelligence officers is not to determine criminality or to investigate, in fact, especially when it comes to U.S. persons. So I think what was most interesting about that is exactly what Ned said, the fact that Brennan confirmed that he, in fact, or the CIA, in fact, had intelligence that rose to the level that brought them concern enough to walk over and give this to the FBI and say, this is something you should look into, and that is, in fact, what started this investigation. So I think what we're starting to seeing, and in respect to what Ned said earlier, I have to say, from an intelligence perspective, from a counterintelligence perspective, this was a failure. What we're hearing today, we should have learned back in August. The decision maker in this case was not a combatant commander, as I learned in the military intelligence, but the decision maker was the voter. And the fact that the voting public did not know this in August, I think it illustrates that this really was a 9/10/2001 intelligence failure, and it needs to be looked at.
And to say that this investigation started with a person, a U.S. person, and not necessarily that they were doing anything wrong, but that there were the conversations that were enough to make the FBI start the investigation. Naveed, clearly that's getting you a little riled up. Ned Price, appreciate it as well. Naveed Jamali, thank you both. Next, we go live to Manchester, England. Investigators have